Hi everyone, welcome to the bonus Q&A, and it is January 2021. This is the first one for the brand new year, fresh new year. So welcome. welcome. Now we are going to do what we always do and start with questions. And if you are new to this call, you can just put your hand up in the chat. If you don't know how to, not in the chat, next to your name. If you don't know how to do it, type it into the chat and someone will help you. And let's see who has, we haven't got anyone with a hand up. Gee, that's a nice change. Usually not a nice change, but you know what I mean? Usually there's a lot in the queue. So does anybody want to kick it off? Feel free to just put your hand up and go. Justice, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I started doing mirror work per Louise Hay. And even though like my main goal is dream job, and I have seen like manifestations that are leading up to kind of an end result, so that's nice. There are people coming into my life, I wouldn't say like exes, but people I have communicated with. And this isn't my like main goal, by the way, but like it just seems like they're so vapid, like they're communicating in a way that's not as genuine, or like they're wanting more physical. And I guess like in the past I would have entertained the idea, but I'm like really focused. But I haven't like done anything besides doing this mirror work. So I was curious, and I kind of wanted your insights on that.
In terms of you're attracting more physical attraction than other stuff, you mean?
Yes, just by doing like I love you in the mirror, or like all of my affirmations in the mirror. Like it's just been showing up, like not even intentionally. But they're hot and cold. Yeah, and it's being consistently shown to me that like they're not really wanting like a relationship.
Yeah.
But it's like really weird. Like one of them offered like to share their bank account with me and like here move to a different state with me, and I was like, well, like I'm not going to do that until I have my job, you know. But I just was curious as to like what you think is going on there, like that I could work on for myself, because like I said, it's not a main goal or anything. I just want to change that for later.
Sure. I think it's two halves of a nut. You work on your self-love, which is what you're doing with the mirror work. But you've got to look at the other half of the nut. What do I think about relationships? What do I think about men? What do I think about any particular man? So we have beliefs that operate, and that is the other thing that attracts to us. We attract through how we feel about ourselves, and we also what we project onto other people. So have you got any negative thoughts? That the one that I see a lot, Justice, is people just want me for sex, men just want me for sex, women just want me for sex. That is what is one of the beliefs that attracts that type of, you know, that people lead with that foot. They want the physical stuff first. So have you got any of those?
I mean, probably the person I was raised with is definitely anti-marriage. Men only want sex.
Yeah.
You know, they're always cheating.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. And I think once you identify it, then you go, okay, well, hang on. Some people are cheaters, but there's a whole bunch of other people that aren't. So I'm going to keep giving myself evidence of people that don't cheat. I'm going to keep giving myself examples, whether it's in real life, whether it's, you know, you've read about people's relationships. Go and hunt out, because you know when you go on this hunt of looking at those movies where it's all about infidelity and betrayal and, you know, all those, and people get very drawn to those type of movies because they're usually experiencing it, or there's a fascination with it. And if you keep putting your attention on those type of movies and those types of relationships, then that becomes part of your energy field. So you have to change what you are putting your focus on And you've got to look at changing the beliefs you hold as well that draw that to you. So sometimes justice, I mean, I know there's been generations in my family, I can go at least 2 or 3 generations back, where it's full of infidelity and cheating. So my belief was that people, that's just, and it wasn't just the men. In my family, the women do it too. So it's women and men. I've got both sexes doing that to each other. So it's like, I thought that was the norm. So my belief that people just cheat on each other as soon as they're in relationships was it was a belief I had that was normal.
Yeah.
So it was only when I started doing this work that I saw that isn't normal. That's what some people do, and it creates a lot of destruction and a lot of pain. And when people come from, I just want you for physical intimacy, and if you want love but you're accepting sex, you often end up in those situations where you do get used if that's not what you wanted. So you got to be clear, what do I want? If I just want physical contact and 2 people just want physical contact, there's no problem. But if one wants love and accepts sex, that's when you end up hurting yourself. So it's good you're watching what's coming at you and you're going, hang on a minute, what have I got going on, you see?
Yeah, I was really curious. I was like, why is this happening as soon as I start mirror work? Yeah. But
well, you do become
like a side thing, but I just was curious,
I mean, you do become attractive when you've got good self-love. You do become attractive. So you become physically attractive as well as attractive in every other way. But yeah, you got to sort of work out, how close you want to stand next to people that are doing that. Because I do see people accept sex when they want love and they end up injuring themselves because the neediness for love is what drives them to go for the physical contact, but the physical contact isn't really what they want. They want more than that. That makes sense.
Yeah, and I think that when I was growing up, I was constantly hearing that, and I still hear it, like in car rides and conversations, but like I've never wanted that per se.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I could get your input on that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, good question. Good question to start with, because this comes up a lot, Justice, with a lot. I probably get at least 10 to 15 emails a week on that one topic. So it's a big one. It's a big one. Thank you. Anna, you are next.
Hi, you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, cool. It's the first time I'm using the computer, so I'm on the Zoom. So my question is about new relationships. Relationship, I don't know if I can call it that, but I met a new guy. So I'm really happy for that. And I'm happy there are guys here too, because since it's new, I've been watching advices for relationships, and I feel like sometimes they say things that that doesn't really correspond to me. So I have like this law of attraction and thinking and doing as you feel, and all of this advice is like, no, you don't have to be available all the time, you need to make yourself desirable, or things like that. So it's really confusing in my head. And so I would like to know, like, is it better like just applying all of these advices because they're experts on it? Or is it better like, okay, I do as I feel it and I go for it, but let's see how it goes?
Good question. I think always take advice from people that have good relationships. That's my first thing. I know I've taken some really bad advice from people that felt like giving it to me, but they didn't actually have good relationships. So over the years, I've realized the best advice, it's like if you want to make money, you take advice from people that have it. And it's the same with this. If you've got someone who's got a good relationship and is still in it, because some people have had relationships, but then they haven't got it right now, I still think the best advice comes from people that are in relationships and are maintaining it themselves. So I think try to work, because I know you've been working on your self-love for quite a while. I think go and trust your own instincts.
It's incredible because actually when I met him, like at the beginning, I was being like myself and I was feeling so good. And in a point, I started having doubts.
Yeah.
And like, oh, what if this, what is that? I don't know. It's just like, ah.
Yeah.
And for example, and it's interesting because I see when I do as I feel and when I'm feeling good, it was going like super well. And in a point, I started having doubts. And then, for example, if he replies to a message and I wasn't waiting for that reply, I'm like, what he said that?
Yeah.
And also, we saw each other like twice. And then in a moment, he proposed that we see each other. I couldn't. And then I proposed and he couldn't. And in a moment, I said like, okay, you know, this week I can, this day or this day. And then he said that he was not feeling really well. And he wanted us to continue talking, but that maybe we will not see each other again so soon.
Okay.
So
Anna, can I ask what country you're in?
I'm in France.
Ah, that's right. No, I'm just thinking, because I'm thinking in terms of lockdowns and restrictions. That's why when you said you've met somebody, it's like, wow, meeting someone during COVID or lockdown.
Oh, exactly.
Wow, fantastic.
Wow. And the thing is that because we have restrictions that start at 8 p.m.
Yeah.
So it's really complicated, like seeing someone.
Yeah.
And also the bars are closed, restaurants are closed. So that means if you want to spend time with someone, either this person comes to your place or you go to this place.
Yeah.
So,
and it means you end up at people's houses more quickly than you normally would if you could go and meet them at a coffee shop or a restaurant.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Always come back to feeling secure and feeling loved and wanted. If you do that work, the relationship works itself out every time.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
It's just like, I know that. Why don't I just apply it instead of just wondering like 10 times, like, what if he is interested in someone else? What if actually he's in, I don't know. It's just like, oh my God.
Well, if you start doing that, if you have the thought, what if he's interested in someone else? What that tells you about you is that you feel not good enough and second best. That's what that thinking is. So he didn't cause that in you. You interpreted it that way. So you go, okay, that's good information for me about me. He's showing me where my weak links are. I'm going to work on that. So then you work on it. I'm good enough. I'm good enough. I'm good enough. I'm good enough. I'm loved. I'm loved. I'm first best. Whatever words you want to use, there's a whole bunch of affirmations you can use, but you go, okay. See, the thing is, it's very easy to get secure when you're single. It's when you get back into a relationship, you see really the work you did.
Yeah. And it was interesting, as I said, when we started talking, that I was feeling like super secure. I was feeling funny and interesting and stuff. And like, seriously, like 5 dates later, I was like, oh my God, I'm meeting someone new. I need to learn all of these things again. It's so hard.
Yeah, it's like, it brings up all your insecurities. It brings up all your whatever. It will bring it to the surface. It will. And you go, okay, thank you. I'm going to work a bit deeper now at a deeper level on whatever is coming up. And relationships are such a great place to work on all the negative stuff, all the insecurities, all the fears, all the doubts, all the worries, all the trying to control, all the not being able to allow, trying to force it, waiting for phone calls, anxieties, all that stuff will come to the surface once you start to like somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. True. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And this is your opportunity.
You see, I feel so much pressure. I'm like, oh my God.
I know.
One day I will come to all of you telling you my successful story, I hope.
Yeah. Try and relax. Say to yourself, I relax and I release. I'm at peace. I relax, I release. I surrender, I let go. You know, I wouldn't go into doing a whole bunch of techniques. I would go into doing the inactive stuff, which is get yourself really, I'm going to aim to feel secure within this. I'm going to aim to feel peace within this. I'm going to aim to feel, whew. That's what you're aiming for. You know, you got to stop doing this. You know, your little eyes darting around, like what's happening, where all that stuff kicks in. Go, okay, I'm doing Ho'oponopono prayer, or I'm going to do one affirmation. I release and I let go. Whatever, you get this to do something else, because that is where your problems are, but that's where all the solutions are too.
True. Okay. Thank you so much.
Good one. Good one. Good one. Julia, do you want to say a few words? Because you're enjoying a lovely, wonderful relationship over this holiday period.
I sure am. Good morning, everyone. It's like 5:20 here in Sydney, so it's not too bad. But I have some exciting news. Tomorrow, my specific person and I are going on our first trip, which is the first one in 3 years' time. So very, very excited, which will be good because we haven't been away in 3 years. So I'm very, very happy. So we've been planning it and we just booked last night actually. So
where are you going?
Very, very exciting. We're just going down south. So do you know where Narooma is? It's about 4.5 hours south of Sydney. So It's going to be a bit of a drive, but it's going to be fantastic. So yeah, definitely. Yeah, everything's going really, really well. So I obviously continue my self-love. I continue doing my meditations and just, letting things unfold naturally, not interfering with anything and just going with the flow and surrendering, which is an extremely important component throughout all of this. And just letting, I guess, the universe just flow serendipitously in my life. So
yeah, Julia, I'll just say, for those that don't know you and I did an interview not long ago and I read out your stories, so I'll put the links down below for the people that watch this not live, so they can have a look at that, because it's such a wonderful story.
Part 2 to come when you arrive in Sydney.
I've been visualizing and imagining Sydney Airport. I'm ready.
We've gone through another wave. We've gone through another wave of corona. Now we have to wear masks everywhere.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm okay with the masks. I just need some warmth in my bones. Just a little bit.
Sydney's had a very wet summer. So only this week we've started to have high 20s, low 30s. So all the beach weather.
Looking forward to it. Summer in any country. We had a good summer over here, and it just makes you feel so good to get some sun. It's a real upliftment. So looking forward to it. Thank you, Julia, for your good words.
You're welcome, Agnes, anytime.
Nice to just hear someone enjoying a good relationship, because I think when you are in a good relationship and you share that with people that are wanting one, or, just along the way, they can hear you, they can feel you, the presence of you. And that is something that you can start to pick up. It's a state of being, as Neville talks about states. It's like when you talked about going on your holiday, it's like we can feel that. It's enjoyable to listen to you talk about it. It's exciting, it's light, it's fun. So hearing people talk about it while they are experiencing something is a powerful magnet. And may it go off into the Zoom and, land on all of you that would like some. It's like little gold dust from Sydney, Australia.
Love to you all.
Thank you, Julia. R.A.
Hi, Agnes.
Hi.
So I need some clarification.
Sure.
And yeah, and so my question is, so sometimes I feel that like, do I really want to be with him? Like, some doubt, some confusion is there, because like, it could be due to all the issues. I'm feeling exhausted. I just don't know. Like, it feels like, like we get back together, then we get separated again. It, yeah, so it feels like we are not connecting. There are certain issues on which we argue a lot.
Okay. I mean, do you want to share a little bit about, I mean, have you got sort of things that you repeatedly argue about?
Argue. There are some issues actually, like intimacy.
Okay.
Yeah, actually,
Okay.
that's the issue.
That's the issue. Yeah. Look, that's a big
Yeah.
issue in a lot of relationships. And it's just an issue. It can be a great issue or it can be a challenging one. So you got to decide what's right for you. And, like what we were talking about with justice, do not have sex if you want love. You have sex when you want to connect with somebody. And for some people, they can do that without having a relationship, and that's fine. Other people need to be within a relationship to do that, and that's fine. Doesn't matter which one you choose, but you got to choose what's right for you.
No, but even being in a relationship, if we are having intimacy issue, I mean, giving more importance to it.
I'm not clear on what you mean, darling. I'm not clear on what you're saying. Can you give me a bit more information?
Or like, like we get back together and then we again get separated and on the same issue.
Okay.
Like I
You
feel
want,
that
is it because you want different things?
yeah, like I I don't want him I don't want intimacy should be a priority.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, darling, this is going to be probably no surprise, but men and women are wired differently. And neither
Yeah.
one of them is wrong. We're just wired differently. And if you're in a male-female relationship, you have to communicate what's right for you, but don't make the other person wrong for what they want, because people have got different levels of sex drives. Let me say it that way. Some people want it more, other people want it less. You've got to work out, if you're going to be a couple, what the level is that's right between the two of you. So yes, you need to talk about that and discuss it. But try, when you're discussing it, because it's a bit of an atomic bomb subject, it can, cause a lot of difficulty, but it doesn't have to. Listen to the other person and what they want and need, and ask them to listen to what you want and need, because this is an important thing in relationships.
Okay.
It's very important. It's very important. Now, the other thing you said that's kind of pricked my ears was, I'm getting really exhausted. You can't make good decisions if you're exhausted. You got to deal with that first. So if you need to, say, look, I'm really exhausted. I really would like to talk to you about this, but I need to go and get some sleep and some rest, and I'll come back to you when I'm rested again. Don't be trying to have conversations about heavy subjects from a place of exhaustion, because when you're exhausted, you're negative. You're not going to be exhausted and happy. That never goes together. Yeah. And the energy of negativity goes into the conversation. You must deal with what you need first, and sleep, food, water, whatever else the body needs, exercise, we need to attend to those things. And those things, if you lay the foundation with that, then you can go and have conversations with people after that, because your mind, your emotions, everything is in balance. And from that place, you get much better outcomes.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Self-love first and then relationships, always in that order.
Yeah.
And the
Thank
reason
you.
we have so much trouble is we get them the other way around. All right. Sherry, hi.
Hi, can you hear?
I can hear you perfectly, Sherry. Yep.
I would put my video on, but I just got out of the shower, so it's going to be like this.
I'm sure there'd be many of us here that would love that.
Well, no, I'm clothed. I'm clothed.
No, I'm just playing with you. I'm just playing with you.
Well, that would be a boost to my ego, so it really wouldn't. That's okay.
Go ahead.
I just recently discovered your channel, so thank you so much for all the work you do. And I, in particular, like your channel because of your focus on the importance of self-love and the sort of give and take in relationships, not just what you get. So I really appreciate. Okay, so I am in the process of trying to attract my SP back. I met him about 7 months ago and during quarantine, and he lives 5 minutes away from me and we have a lot in common. He was just wonderful to me. He treated me like a queen. We didn't even really have a breakup. It was more just kind of disappearing, I guess. And so we really haven't had much contact. I think I know why. And I'm new to the everyone is you pushed out. So
Okay.
I have to constantly remind myself that, okay, there's a part of me that created this. And I do see that, like with my own insecurities or even though I wasn't verbal with them, the energy of it, I think.
Yeah.
And so recently I've also decided, all right, maybe I'm realizing the importance of my self-concept more. So my question is this: I'm trying to focus more on that and less on the affirmations with him, trying to find a balance there. And sometimes I think, would it be better to just sort of set those affirmations regarding him aside altogether for now and just focus on me and my security issues and abandonment issues, those kind of things, the affirmations of being more secure. And then my other question, so that's the first question. And my other question is,
Sherry, can we do them one at a time? Because I've got a very short attention span for remembering because I'm at the end of my day. So let's do the first one. So in terms of the affirmations.
Is it okay to cease the ones about him for a while? I guess there's a fear in me that if I don't, attend to that, it's not going to manifest. I realize that I have to put more importance on my own ones, my self-concept. I get that. But it's okay to sort of like not do the ones with him for a while.
I would look, I know you can attract someone just by doing self-love affirmations.
Okay.
But in saying that, I think when we are having someone in our sights that we'd like to manifest, we do enjoy doing affirmations for that person.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you stick to about 75% self-love affirmations and you do about 25% for the relationship, I think that's okay. But in doing the relationship affirmations, I would do ones such as mutual benefit ones, like I love how we understand each other. I love how we get closer and closer. This relationship is the best we've ever had. That it's for both people. It's not like you're talking about those other type of affirmations, which is just me, me, me ones. Those type, I think, are better. Yeah.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
And then my second question was, sometimes I feel like exhausted by the work of it. And I'm not, maybe my epiphany hasn't happened yet. I guess my question is, does it get easier?
It gets easier, but if you're hitting exhaustion, you're doing way too much.
Okay.
I think what happens is we go from doing none of this stuff, we learn about this stuff, and then we hit the accelerator and go 100 miles an hour. So I find the people that stick to about 4 days a week, maybe 5, that's enough.
Oh,
you don't have to do 7 days a week. I mean, it's just unrealistic when we have jobs, when we have children, animals, whatever else, elderly parents, we've got other stuff to do. So do a little bit, but you don't need to be doing 7 days a week.
Okay. That helps a lot.
Yeah.
And by the way, I read that book, love yourself like you're
Ah,
it, and that has really helped me a lot.
isn't that a gem? Yeah,
It's a and in the middle of the day, I'll just find myself saying, I love myself. I love myself. And it
yeah,
does bring me, I like it. I don't know how else to
yeah,
like it. So it's
yeah,
simple, seems to be working. So thank
yeah.
you so thank you.
Sherry, there's I don't for actually I'll say it for everybody. Kamal that wrote that book, the first release of that book was a book you could read in about an hour.
Yes.
He has since then, and he told me personally, he
Yes.
was scared to share a lot of stuff in that first book because he was working in Silicon Valley and it was just not his field. So he's done a revised edition, which is about 3 or 4 times as long. And it's got a lot of the stuff he said he didn't want to share in book 1 because he was too scared.
I think I listened to the
So,
audio, the one
have you
that
got the audio? Yeah.
is left with the girlfriend. And
Yes.
that's the one I listened to. And I listened to
Okay,
it.
great.
Yeah.
Great.
I'm
Yeah.
curious, did he ever get back with the girl?
I don't know, to be honest.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering at the end.
Yeah, I don't know. He ended up in hospital and nearly dying not that long ago, within the last year, I think.
Oh, gosh.
And so I haven't contacted him. I did an interview with him before that happened.
Yes.
And we were going to do a part 2 interview, but with all that happening, I've just, left him and just said, I hope you're okay. And that was it.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, it'd be a very good question to ask if it ever came back and came back together, because his story is very much like a lot of ours in here.
Yeah.
Very similar.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
My pleasure, Sherry. My pleasure. Sherry, where are you? Are you in the US?
Yes, I'm in Virginia.
Oh, nice. Good
Out of
stuff.
Washington, D.C. As you can imagine how things are going here.
Yeah.
I try not to news, to be honest with you. It's too much. So
I'm in the middle of London and I don't even know what's going on outside. I don't watch it. I don't have a TV. I just look up on, I don't need to plug into that.
Yeah.
So we just do what we do at home and keep I think it's a clearing of our own fears, because the pandemic is a big reflection of that, just fears and stuff manifesting and breeding. So it's like, okay, what fears do I need to work on and what do I need to deal with? And that's what we can take from it.
Well, the other thing was I live with people who I have to remove myself sometimes because they're constantly thinking about it, between that, the presidential thing and the pandemic. Sometimes I have to remove myself because it's just too much attention to it. And I don't feel that. So it's trying to balance myself within that environment. So
I hear you. When I was in Australia in June, I made a decision then that I would not watch any more of it. I said to my partner, if there's anything I need to know in London about changes and restrictions, let me know.
Yeah.
But he can listen to information and not get affected. I'm like you, I get affected. So I'd rather unplug. So
I just scan what I need to know, and that's fine.
it.
Yeah. I'd rather watch your videos, to be honest.
Oh God, thank God for YouTube. I love YouTube. I love YouTube. I've actually removed myself from all other social media recently and given myself over 100 extra hours a year. So that's been nice to unplug from too. But yeah. So, Josh, you are up next.
How are we doing?
Hello, darling. How art thou?
I'm not too bad. How are you? You all right?
I'm good.
I've got 2 questions, and obviously I just heard what you said about the to Sherry just there, so I'll start off very slowly.
Yep.
First question.
You are cheeky.
It goes out to I want to bring in everybody here. So yourself, Joe, Marvin, everyone has had success. Julia, if you don't mind, especially Julia, she was quite recent. The bridges of incidents.
Yep.
And memories. Okay.
Yeah.
Can they be the same to lead to something to manifest? Or is it just something where you're like, oh, yeah, okay, that makes sense. And then, forget all about it. Does that make sense? Did you experience that in
I
your
understand.
journey?
Just give me a bit more
Okay, so
Info.
for example, before lockdown,
Yeah.
I finally got around to doing my flying lessons, so I'll get you to Australia as soon as I can. And I was chatting to another lad, a friend of mine, and the nature of his job is security is quite high, so he can't really say much. He's aviation security, top secret stuff. I was like, right, but so he works in London. I know that he works in London, and I said to him, well, do you go to this place? And he smiled and he says, well, how do you know that? And I went, no reason. It's because of an SP. I don't want to read too much into it, but the SP, and she has a relation who does the same thing.
Okay.
And I didn't want to put, but I can tell from that, it's, how is it that I've bumped into you and you do this?
Yeah.
Because I sat back and went, no reason, you don't need to know. I just, cheers for that. Thanks for letting me know. And I walked off.
Yeah.
But I thought to myself, what's going on here? It's, do you know what I mean? So is that just a memory, do you reckon? Or is that something that could potentially, is that leading to something? I don't want to read too much into it because otherwise I'm causing resistance and all that jazz.
Yeah, okay, that makes more sense. Well, I think, see, we talk a lot about bridge of events, bridge of incidents, but the thing is, you don't know until you're on the other side of it. So once you get to the other side and you look back, you go, well, that was a bridge of incidents. Now, I know there's been many times in my life where I've seen something and I kind of go, ooh, like with you, with this, you go, ooh, hang on a minute. And you get that where you kind of go, oh, okay. Like it really pricks your attention and it gives you that where you kind of lean in and wait because you catch your breath a bit. But it's only when you get to the other side and you then look back at it, I think you can be sure it's a bridge of incidents because you see that it led somewhere and it gave you, it's a bit like hindsight.
Yeah.
It's like that. So, I think try not to go digging up the bones.
Yeah, I don't want to read too much into it. I don't.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's hard not to, though.
It is, because obviously,
it is.
I remember you saying when you spoke to Dan Radio Style, and I remember him saying to you, it's when you get too far ahead of yourself.
Yeah.
And from that, you potentially could cause resistance from that. It's sort of like you're sort of like watching over it. So and I don't.
Josh, while I think of it, it's just popped into my head. The best story of stuff starting to look like something, and the people held back and stopped touch and kept their hands off it.
Yeah.
Go back and listen to the story of the doctor and his wife with Neville, because in that story they said repeatedly, this happened, and we still did nothing. This happened and we still did nothing. They didn't touch anything that was coming in. They observed it and went, wow, that's cool, that's interesting. But they never jumped on it, so to speak.
Okay.
Go back and read that, because they really understood letting the fruit ripen, and they didn't pick the fruit before it was ripe. That is the best story of all time on that.
Okay. And the second question, thanks for that. And it goes to really, everyone here is a success story. Obviously, the affirmations are working really well. Love it. But there is that fear factor of letting go. It really is that. It's sort of like you sort of know it's there. That's where I'm at. It's no longer anxiety talking. It's just, it's there.
Yeah.
So I don't know how. I know Julia in her success story. It's that sort of thing where you trust the universe, but it's sort of like you're hovering over it. Which she said in her story is, I trust the universe. I just let go.
Yeah.
But you look at it and go, well, you know what I mean? It's sort of like you're putting it on a pedestal. You really are building it up too much, rather than just letting it go. It's that. I don't know if there's any more techniques. I picture myself in my head just doing this, like dropping my hands opening in, so I'm no longer gripping, and that sort of helps. But it's still the fear factor of letting go.
Yeah.
Letting go.
Okay, it's good you brought this up, because letting go is what? you're putting your full attention elsewhere. That's one way you let go. The second way is you're not letting go. You got to kind of slice the bread in half, the loaf of bread. Half of it is the desire. The other half is what you really let go of. You're not letting go of this half of the bread, which is your desire of what you want. You're letting go of the other half. What's the other half? Fear. When's it going to happen? How's it going to happen? And anxiety, any anger, any resentment, any childhood stuff. You let go of that stuff. It's like peeling the husk off a corn on the cob. You don't chuck out the middle bit. You chuck the husk. The husk is all that. Is all that.
Of all things you could have said, yeah. All right, okay, all right, yeah.
Yeah. Was that relevant?
Yeah, it works well. It works well. And
yeah,
thanks
so
for
you
that, Joe. I got that message.
Don't let go. You don't touch, as they say, you don't toss the baby out with the bathwater. You actually keep your desire close to your heart and you hang on to it. You don't have to let go of your desire. I mean, how painful is that? I really want that. Yeah, now you got to let it go. It's like you're going in opposing forces. It's nearly impossible to let go of your desire.
It's like going cold turkey.
Yeah.
And it's that. It's sort of like having the confidence of saying, you know, you are letting it go. It is that confidence. But it's I don't know how to explain it really. It's the fact that I know it's there at the back of my head. And the more I acknowledge, the more I acknowledge the fact that it's there, I feel like I'm attracting it a lot more. Do you know what I mean? I'm building up this resistance at the fact that I know it's there.
Yeah.
You know.
But Josh, when I first met you, it wasn't at the back of your head, it was at the front of your head. So you've actually moved it. So eventually you go to another level. Yeah. It's like it drops over time.
Like a conveyor belt over the conveyor belt.
Yeah, it does. And I don't beat yourself up that it's in the back of your head. I mean, I'd had it in the back of my head when I was wanting what I wanted. You know, I used to fry my brain circuits thinking, how am I going to leave my job, stop being an employee, earn 6 figures, get myself to London. Then when I get to London, where am I going to live? Honestly, when I thought about all that, I thought I am going to have an anxiety meltdown. It was way too much for my brain circuits. So I just went morning till bedtime. What can I do today? The rest is irrelevant right now. So those day tight compartments where you just go morning till bedtime, morning till bedtime, morning till bedtime, you work through your week like that, you can do that because it's bite sizes. It's like that Kaizen Japanese thing that I talked about at one point. Small, tiny changes over long periods of time. That's what creates a success with all this stuff. That's why I'm not really a fan of this get something in 7 days or 21 days stuff. I think that stuff's a flash in the pan. I'm not saying you can't do that, but I find the people that do, it's not sustainable.
No. It's manipulative, if anything, in my opinion. But without doing the work on myself, it's, you know.
Exactly.
You know, it's something that Justin mentioned there about doing the work on ourselves. You know, you no longer focus on the outside. Yeah. And it's sort of like, you know, history has a tendency to repeat itself unless you've solved the problem, unless you solve the problem, you know. So
exactly.
All right, cool.
Yeah. For anybody that really wants to look at stuff to do with the mind, I bought I got this little course a while ago, and I've watched it 3 times. I just rewatched it again. It's by Michael Singer, and it's called Living from a Place of Surrender. It is he does 8 parts, 1 hour. And you basically are looking at what the mind does. And for those of you that like the science, there's a whole one part of it is on the science of it. But he talks about the mind, and it's the whole course is really geared to how to let go, how to surrender, and how to stop torturing yourself in relationships. He doesn't use the word relationships per se, but it's that where your desire turns into suffering. And he talks about that once he doesn't use the word self-love either, but he says once you understand the love is within and you generate it, you almost get to a point where you don't even need to be in a relationship, because you get that you were coming from a place of trying to get love from another human being. Now, I would say it's nice for a lot of us to be in relationship and have good self-love. Then you can have the wonderful relationship and the self-love, and then you can have these incredible relationships, because the 2 parties are givers and looking after themselves. So, you know, whether you want to be alone or in a relationship, feeling good and having good self-love isn't going to hurt you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Sounds good to me, mate. Cheers.
Cheers. T.
Hi. I actually, because I'm new to this, so
Yeah.
I'm just kind of like trying to learn a lot of things and pick up a lot of things. But something you had touched on when you were speaking to another young lady, you said, "Do not have sex if you want love," and I
Yeah.
didn't quite understand what you were saying about that. So I don't know if you can kind of go into it a
Yeah.
little more for me, please.
Good question. When okay, say you want a relationship
Mhm.
where you're in a committed relationship. I would say don't go and give sex if you want to have a committed relationship. Why? Because that says to somebody, I'll have sex with you, but we don't need to have a relationship. That's what it says. Now, I see a lot of women, and I will use the word women here because 98% of what I see in my email box is women. They're having sex with somebody, whether they're in a gay relationship or in a heterosexual relationship, and they are starting off with sex and then wanting and hoping for it to turn into a relationship.
Okay.
Now, does that happen? Every now and again, yes. Most of the time, no. Why? Because the other person who just wants sex is getting what they need, and then they can go and run off and do that with somebody else if they want. They're not committed to you. So there's nothing wrong with just having sex and not having a relationship if that's what you want. But both people have to agree to that for no one to get hurt.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah. Good question, T, because this is a big one. That's a big one. And I can tell you, people really injure themselves by jumping in and having sex and not discussing, you know, they just go out and have a drink and then they end up at somebody's house. And right now, that's probably not the best thing to do with the physical repercussions with COVID. That's probably not a sensible thing to do. And you're putting yourself at risk in that regard. So you got to just look at, what do I want? And if I want a relationship, I don't lead with the sex foot.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. T, where are you before you go?
I'm in Delaware.
That's where Mr. Daniels, aren't you in Delaware?
Yeah, he actually brought me here. So
Oh! Oh, well, there you go. There you go. Caitlin Moon is also around there, Marvin and T, who I've interviewed as well. So there's a little pocket of you there.
nice.
Cute. Scottish Joe, would you like to say a few words before I go to the next person?
Yeah, what with regards to that, or just in general?
Whatever you like, darling. Just
okay.
pull it out of your head, whatever comes up.
Cool. Excellent. So it kind of going back to what Josh was saying before, I've actually got a recent experience which could be helpful. So I was talking to Agnes about this as well during the week. So something that happened through me, a lot of what I found in this current climate pandemic is that there's a real opportunity to go deep within, a real opportunity to ignore the outside as much as you can, to really go within and try and unearth some things that may be going on inside, a real period of reflection. Of course, that seems to coincide with the turn of the year. A lot of people have resolutions, they want to make a changes this year. But at the same time, a real opportunity to go deep and find out what's going on, what do I need to unearth. Now, a lot of what I'm seeing is stuff is coming up that's quite powerful and can be quite emotionally charged. Now, for me in particular, on Tuesday, I had an episode with an ex from a few years ago, which through certain experiences, I encountered this ex online, and a huge surge of ego came up, a lot of stuff of hurt, anger, rejection, loneliness, fear, all this came rising to the surface. But at the same time, in the midst of all this, a real feeling of joy and love and happiness came for this person. Now, what I seen in this moment was, a parallel of ego fears and past traumas and my true self. So in that moment, I was like, right, this is perfect. It's a perfect opportunity to cleanse here. Now, with that, I was like, I need to meditate on this. And in my meditation, I imagined it was almost like an inner child one that you mentioned as well, Agnes.
Yeah.
Like an inner child meditation where I seen this part of me, this childlike part of me, which was just beaten, battered, bruised, covered in so much fear and pressure almost. And in this, imagination, I just opened my arms, and instead of approaching it and really, suffocating this battered child, I let it come towards me, and just embracing this ego aspect of me and embracing it with my true self. I think a lot of people, what they'll do is, I think it may have been Sherry mentioned something, with telling yourself certain things. I can't remember who said it. It's so important to understand if you have made mistakes or insecurities which have caused situations to happen. But the next step to that is accepting the part of you that created it. Now, if you have done that and you've seen, something's went wrong and you realize and you take responsibility for it, if you go straight into blame there because you then blame yourself, that's critical self-observation. However, if you can accept the part of you that experienced that, realize that it happened, you accept you for you, it's becomes so much easier to build from there. Now, I found after that experience on Tuesday, it's just released such a wave of pressure. There's no real fear, there's no anxiety, I've almost realized that anything I had from my ex in the past and all that fear around them, the love that maybe I was trying to get from them, I realized at that point that love has to go to me. This little child inside who's frustrated and terrified and so afraid of loneliness, they need to get that love from me. That's my responsibility, that's my duty to look after myself. However, some people will look at that and go, I've seen this in me, I'm just going to leave it and I'm going to try and change it. I'm just going to try and change it. It's so important to understand that you need to move forward with that, because in future, if you don't tend to that part of you, it's just going to rear its ugly head again. It's just going to come back, and it's going to come back even stronger. You almost need to fuse that part of you with whatever you're trying to manifest. And I've found, especially since Tuesday, by doing that, it becomes so much more accepting of what I want to be. I'm not forcing it to do anything. It's this part when it comes up, I go, okay, I'm still here. I'm still looking after you. I'm going to take care of you. And now we are going to move forward together. I'm not going to leave you behind, because ultimately this little, child part is terrified of loneliness. So it needs included. It needs to be part of me. So I just think that would be really important for people. It's so crucial to take care of yourself and just have the love that you're trying to give to others or trying to get from others. It's all in here. And the first place it has to go to is the part of you which is going to be ultimately responsible for that. It needs to go there first and foremost. So I just think that's just and that will make letting go actually easier, because you then realize that side of you is what creates ultimately. And if you're loving that part, and it's not a narcissistic, egotistical love, it's a pure natural love coming from you to you. And on that night after that meditation, I fell asleep saying I love myself, and I actually woke up completely unconsciously saying I love you. So unconscious, the first word that sprung to mind. And for me, that must have fused my subconscious to the point of I love you, I love you, I love you. Fear almost in an instant washed away. But I realize now in this environment, my true focus is for me to be the best version of me in order to be my best version for everyone else and for everyone in my vicinity. And yeah, I just think it's really important to have that focus on you. So crucial.
Well said. Well said, Joe. It's what meditation did you do? Silent or a specific one?
Silent. It was all
Yep.
silent. There was no focus. I almost set an intention and
Mm,
just let it be. I didn't think
mm,
of a scene. I didn't plan a scene out. It was
yeah.
just I felt I just need this to come up, and it came through. And I just seen this little 8-year-old, this little 8,
Mm,
9-year-old Joe just standing there looking just battered, just looking
yeah.
completely battered. And the closer I went to it, it seemed to get frightened even more. And then and again, this was all an imagination. I just opened my arms and approached cautiously, and it just grasped on. And from there, the wave of emotion that came through me. But at that point, I just felt a click. I just felt a fusion. I just felt this. There was a there was an acceptance of ego at that point. I've always thought for so long you need to shun and get rid of ego and be your best version of yourself. But this part of you is there to become the best version of you. So you need to work with it, not against it, not get rid of it, integrate it, but integrate it to be the best version of you that you can be.
Yep. I so agree. And I think the more you do the work you just talked about, the more your desperation or need, it's like it calms down all those emotions and the anxieties and all of that. It subsides.
Yeah.
All the dissatisfaction, all the I want to get that over there, you know. I mean, there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with having desires, but it's when your desires are causing you suffering. That's when, I think we go through so many things, and then we try and put addictions over the top to not feel that, whether it's alcohol or cigarettes or sex or food or whatever. People
Yeah.
put stuff to try and not feel the stuff you're just talking about. So if you clear it, the freedom you feel
Yeah.
is, you can't even explain it to people until they go through
Yeah.
it themselves. But that's where the peace comes from,
Yeah.
going through that stuff and releasing it, because your body's like a suitcase and you're carrying it around. So the more you offload what's in the suitcase, the lighter it gets and the
Yeah.
more comfortable it is to live in your own body.
Yeah, it's not just that as well. With that analogy, you create so much space to then fill it with what you want to fill it. And that
Mm,
ultimately it's love, and with love being light, it does become you have less baggage. I love how you mentioned that about addictions, because that self exploration, that self
mm,
observation, I realized there may have been certain things it could have been labeled I was addicted to. And I've not even I've noticed them now, become much more conscious of them now, much more aware of
mm,
what these things were, and I haven't even thought about them unconsciously or consciously since Tuesday. It really
yeah.
felt like, and this was all, by the way, I want to stress, this was all conscious, intentional work that was done from, I think it was the Sunday, no, the Sunday I started it, and then by the Tuesday I had so much intense self observation that was happening that the experience for me to encounter this X, it was random stuff that came through. People would call it signs, synchronicities, but the way it all evolved, there was no way I was ever going to find that X unless things had just popped up. It was like emails, and then it took me here, then it took me here and here, but it came at the right time to release it. I wasn't consciously looking for that. I was looking within, and things popped up, and that ultimately was a little mini bridge of incident. And for there, that allowed the final release, the final purge of all these things that came through me.
Mm. Thank you for sharing that. I think that's such good information for everybody. I mean, I know a lot of people in here are already doing this work and, at different levels, but I think, Joe, I think this goes on for life. I mean, I know I started doing that years ago and, now it's 3 decades later and I'm still doing the work you're talking about when it comes up, because something will hit you in the raw pink nerve somewhere.
Yeah.
And it gives you
Yeah.
another opportunity to go, okay, whew, I'm going to clear that. Let me clear that. Let me clear that. Thank you for showing me that. Let me clear that. And you feel more and more peace over the years because you get hit less, because there's less stuff in there, I think.
Yeah.
And it gets easier. Does get
Absolutely.
easier. Thank you for sharing that. That's really
Very
wonderful.
welcome.
I could listen to your accent all day.
The
Honestly,
the only one in the world, but okay, we'll let you have it.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it, darling. I love it.
Thank you.
Oh, SB, you are next.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. So, hi. I just had 2 questions. The first one was, when we're doing the affirmations and in the meditations and stuff, and we're repeating it after you and kind of seeing it in the black screen of our mind.
Yeah.
Are we supposed to be feeling it real? Because sometimes I feel like I'm repeating it, but I'm not. It's not like making me feel any sort of emotion. And as much as I'm sticking with it, sometimes I think, is this how it's supposed to feel? There have been times where I've done amazing ones with you that I've marked where I come away feeling really high, but other times I feel as though I'm just repeating it.
Yeah. Look, I wouldn't worry too much. I mean, I know when I first started doing I am loved and I'm wanted, I didn't feel anything for at least 6 months.
Right.
So I know some people say inject feeling into it, but I think the feeling comes naturally as you practice it. You will get to a point where practicing it, it feels more natural because you've done it for a long time. It's like Joe saying just now, he woke up with I am love or I am loved in the morning. You will get to a point where it becomes so natural to you to think these thoughts that the feelings will just be there to go with it. And I mean, if you want to try and feel when you're doing it, I find then that makes me try and do 2 things at once. I got to repeat the affirmation, then I got to try and do the feeling. And then I go, oh God, I don't want to do this. It's getting on my nerves, So I find if you just do the affirmation and go, you know what, the feeling will kick in when it does. But I find too, SB, there are times where, I'll do a meditation and it's excellent. And then the next day I do a meditation, I'm distracted. I can hear something outside and I can't get my focus off it. So you just do your best for that day and go, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's progress, not perfection. And just kind of go, you know what? It will eventually soak in and fertilize me when the timing happens. I still say affirmations sometimes when I go for a walk and I don't feel something. And then other days I do it and I feel amazing and I can feel it really. So I just don't judge it. I just go, some days great, some days not. I'm not going to criticize it. It's just, it is what it is. I've done the leg work. It's like when you go to the gym, sometimes you have such great energy. The gym session feels so easy. Other times it feels like your legs and your arms are like dead weights and everything feels really hard. It's the same. I think it's just part of our humanness. We don't have this consistent with no boop, it's got little blips and some days are great, some days aren't. Don't worry about it. You're doing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Where are you? Are you not far from me? I think somewhere.
I'm in Manchester.
Ah.
So not too far.
Not too far.
So I hear what you're saying on the weather as well. It's horrendous. There's no vitamin D coming through these windows. I'll tell you that.
No, I haven't even opened the curtains today. I just laid in bed and was watching a really good series on Netflix. I think Lupin. It's a fabulous one. I thought, wow, I'm getting lost in that. I have no idea what went on out there, apart when I stuck my nose out for 20 seconds and went, ooh, no, thank you.
Yeah, nothing exciting's happening at all.
That's all right. See, we can do all this wonderful work when it's like that.
Yeah, true, very true.
It makes you want to stay in. It makes you want to have a nice cup of tea or a soup, and you just do the work. It's good.
Yeah, it's been a blessing actually in disguise.
Yeah, it is.
Focus more on stuff you wouldn't have had the time to do before.
Absolutely. I love how you get uninterrupted blocks of time because you're not rushing out.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Good stuff.
So the next part of my question was, so I don't do any techniques or anything anymore. Apart from, I did write a script, and I'm doing this scripting challenge thing where you write your script and you read it in the morning and before you go to sleep. So that's the only technique I'm doing. So I'm trying to focus purely on self-love. But I'm just wondering, at which point do we then incorporate sort of like the whispering and stuff? Because I think as much as we try and not make it about an SP or a new person, it creeps in a little bit there. And I would want to, I just wonder, when does that point come where you think I'm actually I'm in a self-loving place and I can start incorporating these now?
I think when you can consistently feel about an 8 out of 10 within your own self, where your dissatisfaction's kind of pretty much evaporated, you don't feel dissatisfied, you're not always looking at the grass is greener over there, where you're quite happy and comfortable over here, that's when you start doing, if you want a little bit of SP stuff. But in saying that, you can definitely attract a relationship that's brand new, or a specific person or an ex, by only doing self-love, because the magnet of feeling loved is what attracts people to you. That's the energy. It goes out and then it pulls back in. So the more unloved you feel, the more you repel. The more loved you feel, the more you pull in. So, you can do it either way. If you do SP stuff, I would probably only do, say you're doing 4 or 5 days a week, I would probably only do 1 or 2 of those days an SP meditation, or a bit in, write it in your script. Because with a script, you can do a paragraph about your money, a paragraph about your work, a paragraph about your relationship. Your script can be paragraphs for different parts of your life, you see.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I've done.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks very much for that, Agnes. Thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure to you in Manchester. Nice. Humphrey.
Hello, Agnes, and hello, everyone.
God, you sound like you're on you sound like an old Neville recording.
Probably because I'm getting old.
No, it sounds like a bit crackly, and it's the audio sounds like an old Neville recording off a record.
Well, that's the added benefit. Well, let me start again. Well, hello to everyone. This time from Southwest London. So we seem to have a really huge representation of Britain today. It's good to hear. I don't really have any particular question of mine as such, but obviously as I was hearing other people's questions and their responses, I felt like I wanted to relate to some of that stuff, and a few observations maybe of mine or experience I wanted to share. And on the bridge of events, which Josh mentioned earlier, there is this strong conviction that bridge of events can only be external, and there's no way to influence it. It's a funny one, because I almost experienced, again, I'm not talking from my personal experience, I've almost experienced something quite, not quite the opposite, but maybe partly in contrary to what everyone seems to think, because contrary to that conviction, I've realized at some point that inspired action can also contribute to your bridge of events. So if at some point you become strongly inspired, you should take an action. And if you feel like, this is a genuine feeling, it's not dictated by your ego, it's not, you feel like it's time, well, then take an action. And for those who don't know my story, well, such inspired action actually came back, like that to sort of, completing my bridge of events, if you like. And I've really connected with my SP, and it sort of led us to meeting again. But really, what I wanted to say is this realization was quite profound, that you don't always have to wait for external events to complete this bridge of events. You yourself can become the inspired builder, if you like, and at the same time, you can, or your own action can can be your building blocks of your bridge of events. So that was quite profound for me. It's not to say that everyone has to start chasing the bridges of events. It's not that. But sometimes there is this strong resistance against doing something, only because we feel, oh, the bridge of events can only be external, and we must just sit back and wait. That's not necessarily true, at least in my personal experience. And then the next one on letting go, which, as you obviously know, Agnes, is quite a big one for me, actually, at the very moment. So another realization came recently when this freshly reignited flame sort of disappeared out of nowhere, and all sorts of thoughts appeared, all sorts of emotions came to the surface, and one realization came along with it, which was, well, as much as I've done all the legwork over the past, well, nearly 3 years now, I've done all the techniques, I've done all the visualizations, I've done all the reading up on various authors and all the work on myself, and I had an awful lot of success on various other manifestations. If you remember, obviously, manifested this pay rise first, and then new job, and from small to big ones, I've manifested my perfect car, and even to small things like almost instantaneous, like manifesting a book from a friend. Which I just imagined one night, and then the next day he messaged me saying, "Well, I've just sent you something via Amazon. It's a book." So that's quite interesting. So I know it can all work. But one realization I just had recently was that going back to this renewed relationship with my SP. I've never really properly let go previously. So I was going into it with a little bit of a disadvantage already, because I still had a lot of unprocessed emotions and feelings inside of me, which at the first sign of some sort of doubt or an emotional wobble, they've immediately come to the surface, and I believe they've manifested themselves in the way that they have. So with all this intellectual work that I've done and all the tools in my sort of toolbox, I think I made this analogy to you in one of the private conversations recently. It's almost as if you were trying to bake a cake, for example. You have all the ingredients, you have all the components. You have flour, you have milk, water, and whatever else is needed. You have eggs, and you have all that, but it doesn't necessarily make a cake just yet. You still need to bake it, and to bake it, you need to break the eggs. And it's like that letting go in my head, in my mind, sort of. I just thought, well, that's exactly it. That's like this. Or another analogy. I seem to be big on analogies. I don't know why. It's probably my crazy creative mind. But letting go, I've just in my head thought of it as if it was this mental taekwondo, because you're not trying to fight those emotions. And for those who know taekwondo, not that I do know it, but one thing I know is that it's sort of like using the energy of your opponent against him, not resisting him, not trying to obviously, overpower him. And it's like that with your feelings and emotions during letting go process. You try and resist them, they hate more, they hit you more, and get more power over you. But you try and you try and work and take their energy and just let it pass and let it go around you and let it go, like in what they do taekwondo apparently, then well, it seems like it may be a much better idea. So yeah, I think that's it. Oh, and by the way, and for Anna, I just wanted to relate to her, to her part of the question, because you asked about guys' opinion on or what do men feel about, or what do men think about girls, or how should you behave, and what should you say? I mean you're the only one obviously to know that in any given situation, but I think in any such given situation, that probably the wisest strategy would be to try and tell the truth always and be yourself, and be truthful to yourself first, and not pretend anything, not playing the games, obviously. So any such games such as, oh, I'm not gonna respond straight away because he's gonna take me for granted or whatever, and I'm gonna wait 2 days or something like that. No, just go with the flow. I think that's probably the easiest option for anyone really who's listening to it. And that's totally unrelated to any sort of law of attraction, coaching, or anything like that. The thing that's actually helped me to change my life over the past 2 years was discovering Jordan B. Peterson, and few things that have become really, really big on my agenda were telling the truth, taking responsibility for my own life, and that includes feelings and emotions. Not comparing myself to others, only to myself. Surrounding myself with people who care about me. Caring about myself, looking after myself, as if I was the person who I was responsible for helping, for example. And a few others. But just generally for anyone who wonders, I would highly recommend. It's become a very strong compass for me, and giving me strength and confidence. So I'll highly recommend. Well, I'll finish that. Thank you.
Thank you, darling. Thank you. Whew. Okay. Joe and Marvin both have YouTube channels. If you young men would like to type them in the chat for those that have not seen you before, and when I upload this, it will go in the description as well. And Alexa, you are next.
Hello, I'm from Mexico. So
Hello.
I don't know if is respect of a specific person. I had a relationship from May to December. I was doing self-love and all this stuff, but in November, December, I project my insecurities and fears. And so we broke up at December, and he blocked me of his social media. So I know that I have to work on my self-concept and belief, but I don't know how to identify what I really need to change in me to get him back.
Just realized I was muted. It's really looking, Alexa, at what it is that you are doing. Like, what is it that what insecurities about what you got to look at that. What is it that destroyed the relationship or dismantled the relationship? What was I doing? And what was pushing him away? So if you've argued with him, or if it ended up separating and then he blocked you, there were certain things said prior to that happening. So if you can go back and look at, okay, what was I saying, doing, thinking, feeling that pushed that person out of my life? And that's the starting point. You're muted. Yeah, you're muted. There we go.
So what would you recommend about meditations and
meditations? Did you say?
Yes.
I would work on always self-love first. You've got to lay a good foundation. So I would start with any type of self-love meditation. I would do it about 4 days a week. If you want, you can do it 5, but make sure you have a couple of days off. And just really work on, if you start with the self-love meditations that have got affirmations, that will probably give you some affirmations that you can do when you're not meditating.
To like focus on good things that we live, or just let the past go and create
that
something
again.
new?
Say that again. Do I what?
To focus on the things that we had good, or create something new with him.
I wouldn't even start there. You're trying to put the cart before the horse, as they say. Work on you first. Stop trying to get him back now. You cannot be trying to manifest someone back when you're still feeling anxieties or insecurities or all that. That's the magnet that pushes relationships away. You've got to deal with that first. So I wouldn't do any specific person techniques at all for at least a couple of months. I would work fully on the self-love and working on you feeling loved, because your unlovedness, your unwantedness, you're feeling not good enough, you feeling insecure, you having anxiety, if you've got those, I'm not saying you've got all of those, but whichever ones of those you have, that is pushing the person away. So you got to deal with that first and correct that within you, and then your magnet will change. You got to become a different magnet.
Okay.
Yeah. If you can connect with Julia, she has got a fabulous experience with that. And she is right in the middle of having a really good relationship. So if, she's very willing to help, and she's just a positive light for young women. So you can always lean on her if she's got time to help you out.
Thanks.
Julia, did we put your email address in the under the
did.
Okay, good stuff.
Alexa, send me an email.
There you go. Alexa, did you hear that?
Yes.
Something. Okay, just a bit of delay.
Thanks.
All right, darling. Thank you. Now, Marvin, would you like to say a few words to close? No, you're a little bit still hatching, darling. You're in your turtle shell today. That's fine. All good. Just type your channel in the chat so people can go and have a look at what you're doing. And I will put the links to everything that we talked about today down below. Lots of good stuff, good conversation. And Helen, you're in here too? Do you want to unmute yourself if it's the Helen that I'm thinking of? No, something's not working with yours, Helen. It won't let me unmute you. Oh, well, all good, all good, all good. Good to see you, everyone. Thank you for joining in. Lots of great information as per usual. There's a couple of really good shows that relate to this subject on Netflix that I've noticed. One's called Heal, for those of you that haven't seen it. And yeah, there's a lot more stuff coming through, I've noticed, on those type of platforms in relation to the stuff that we do, with the law of attraction or Neville or all of that. So yeah, if you've got Netflix or Foxtel or whatever it is, have a look. So lots of love, everyone. And I will see those of you that join in to next Sunday. This was just a little bonus one to kind of get my wheels oiled and moving. Slow start to the year for me. Still coming out of having a bit of a break. So lots of love. Happy 2021. And Julia, I hope to see you in Sydney very, very soon. And Josh, I'm looking forward to that plane trip. If you can get me there, I'm there.
I'll certainly try my best, but lockdowns will go on, isn't it? So let's hope for the best, eh?
Sounds good. I'll keep working on my teleporting in the meantime.
Do that instead. You probably get there a lot quicker.
All right, everybody. Big hugs, lots of love, and see you as always. And thank you for all the ones that shared their little stories today, because it was a smaller group, and that was just really lovely to hear that. So wonderful. Big hugs. See you soon.
Cheers.